Good afternoon, everybody. I'm guessing everybody had a good lunch. So, we're going to put a very nice song and everybody can go to sleep right away, all right? Uh, so, the title of our session today is Growth Rebooted, Scaling Retail Without Breaking the Brand. And my name is Anand. I manage enterprise account sales at Zebra. And I've seen a lot of presentations on disruptive growth, synergistic scaling, and next-gen paradigms. Then I've had hot dinners. And many of them have one thing in common, which is that one beautiful hockey stick growth curve. And the space between a perfect growth chart on a slide and the messy, brilliant, and often brutal reality of making it happen, of course, without the wheels coming off, is exactly what we are here to unpack today. And we couldn't have two better people to lead us through the reality. So give it up for Karan and Sefik. Thank you. So we're going to jump right into the discussion right now, the core premise of the conversation, and I'll start with Karan. So Styli is in the hyper-competitive fast fashion space. Yeah. How do you acquire customers who aren't just chasing the next discount, but are also building genuine brand loyalty? A $1 million question that I always ask, but it'll be interesting to know your perspective.
I think a great question, Anand. For people who don't know what Styli is the regional fastest growing marketplace. We have about 600 brands available, over 150,000 options to select from. We offer fashion, home, lifestyle needs in the region and among the fastest growing in the region. To your point very clearly, Anand, I think the entire premise of e-commerce is built on discount. What people do is they check the product, they go online, compare, and shop it. But I think what's very, very important is that are you focusing on, for example, 3 basic needs the customer has from e-commerce? One is the product quality. Second is the speed. And third is the convenience. If you're able to manage these 3 core needs that a customer has, specifically from, for example, a consumer brand or thing that people, which is fashion and lifestyle, if you're able to manage these 3 specific needs in a way that customer would want to say that, yeah, this is a platform which promises me the right product at the right price, at the right delivery speed, and takes care of, for example, the customer satisfaction. Mm-hmm. So I think we are part of the largest royalty program in the region, which is Shukran, which helps us understand customer need more deeply because we have the same cohort of consumer that transacts across retail, online. And I think what we are being able to do is to harvest that data very clearly, understand what customer needs, work on that need, blend, say example, information and data along with it, and make sure that the customer is not only coming for discount, but actually coming for shopping and convenience.
Interesting. That balance that you spoke about is always a dream, right, from an e-commerce standpoint. But it's good to know that you're already implementing it and it's going so well. And for you, Sefik, Mum's World is built on a foundation of community trust. Right? That was the core ethos, from my understanding. How do you balance the aggressive acquisition targets common in e-commerce with the need to maintain that deep, authentic trust, which is so crucial and crux, from your company standpoint? So how do you do it?
Good question. So for those of you who do not know Mom's World, it is one of the first mom and baby online platforms in the region. And there's the e-commerce aspect, but a lot more than that. And trust is a core pillar for us. So I do not see it as a balancing act. Actually, trust needs to be there, and whatever we are doing has to involve trust. That is why moms keep on coming back and using our platform, because let's be honest, we live in a region, there are a lot of alternatives, there are a lot of similar companies doing similar stuff, so how do you distinguish yourself? And one of the the key aspects for us is the trust. Moms, they trust that they're going to get quality products from. They know that they're going to get it within the time frame. If they have any issues, they know that we're going to stand behind it. If they have questions, they know that they would be able to call us 24 hours a day. So there's a lot of setup that optimizes for trust. And within the boundaries of trust, we obviously do what any e-commerce company does, look into numbers, customer acquisition costs, lifetime value, and more of those boring stuff. But I do not see it as a trade-off. I don't think you can trade off trust with some of the other goals that you have. What we need to, or what we try to live by is that that is a given. We need to adhere by it. And what else are we going to do on top of that to distinguish ourselves?
I mean, so interesting because even, I mean, I do selling and I think it's very important to know your why, you know, and that is at the core of every consumer. And I can tell you I have a 2-month-old and my wife uses Mom's World. So I'm going to come to you for discounts later, Sefik, yeah, just so you know. Now let me get into the crux of the discussion, which is about key tensions and trade-offs that growth leaders like yourselves face daily. And this one is for you, Karan. Scaling demands speed, but sustainable growth requires discipline. So could you share a specific instance or an example for everybody here where you had to deliberately slow down or sometimes even say no to an opportunity to protect the long-term health, which is in line with what he just spoke. So, you know, for the audience, can you share an example?
I think great question, Anand. I think if you look at traditionally on how e-commerce has grown in the last decade or so, I think everything was about GMV growth. And GMV was the mother metric that everybody used to track. I think that shape is changing. People are not talking about CM growth and CM metric in every conversation that you have. And coming back from the same point, I think one of the interesting instance we have is, I'm sure all of you would know that November is a month that all of us look forward to getting the best of what you can get from the market, right? And I think there is no dearth in the sense of what more you can do in November. One of the instances that I would suggest that we had gone through and we deliberately that, do you want growth at the cost at which it comes? And I think the devil lies in the detail. When you go deeper into the number, understand that the customer that you acquire during such an high intent period are those repeating customer. Do you have the right CLTV for those customer? And then say that this is maximum that we would want to shell off from the pocket, be part of the event, but ensure that there are unit economics in place. Because I think trading off CM versus growth, I think that's a balancing act. And I think we have done that in the very famous Black White November that I think is very famous in the region.
Nice. And Sefik, this one is for you. And I remember when we had a chat, we were discussing about this. So the customer journey for a parent is long and evolutionary, and I can vouch for that with the recent history. How does this influence your retention and loyalty strategies compared to a more transactional retail model? Yeah. How do you keep the brand relevant to a family over a span of time? You know, over a long journey. How do you make sure they are advocates of the brand? So what do you do with regard to that?
I think, yeah, as you mentioned, because of the vertical that we focus on, we are actually, if you think about mom getting pregnant and then going through with birth and then the kid's life journey, especially the first 7 years of life or so, is we're looking about 8 to 10 years of time frame. And the beautiful thing, and which keeps all of us on our toes, is that customers can vote with their feet. If they do not have good experience, they will leave. They will not come back. So we need to strive for every single touch point that we have needs to be a good one, and it needs to be memorable. Or at least they need to trust us enough that if there's something that goes wrong, we will stand behind it and fix it. That means a good thinking around not giving into short-term impulses, maximizing that quarter's revenues, trying to understand the trade-offs, and having some data-backed trade-offs that we need to integrate into our day-to-day decision-making. Because it is very tempting and it is very easy to go on a discount spree for us and then, double, triple our growth rates within a short period of time. But sustainability is always going to catch up with that. And the framework that I discuss with my teams is that, are we borrowing from our future trust? Are we doing something that is going to have a longer term impact on our relationship with these customers? And if the answer is yes, in a negative way, we need to double think about what we're doing. And that takes a lot of discipline, mental discipline, because again, you look at the numbers and at the end of the month, you need to do it. I think the key is to try to shift what type of numbers you're prioritizing. So there's something that is going to reveal how you're doing, and that's always going to be the case. But as what we like to call internally is our North Star metric, what is it? And does that take into account of the longer term relationship that we have with the customer? And are we optimizing towards that?
I'm just going to steal that line, Sefik, borrowing from future trust. Because the next time my management asks for numbers, I'm going to say I'm going to borrow from future trust. So let's keep it as that. But such an important point, are you borrowing from the future trust and having short-term returns, or leading or moving towards sustainable growth, right? So that's interesting. Now to my most favorite question, and I think we have 2.5 minutes. So this is more on technology, gents. So this is a generic question for both of you. Feel free to take it, whoever wants to. The classic case for every customer is to have technology for technology's sake, right? It's easy to be excited about AI and all the new shiny objects that are thrown at you. But in your roles, the focus has to be on output. So for example, did this actually move the needle on sales, retention, profit, etc.? So my long question is twofold. How do you use customer signals, data, behavior, feedback to decide which technologies to worth invest in? And second, based on those signals, what is one emerging technology that you're genuinely excited about, for which you see a clear path in implementation in your respective organizations?
I think you rightly mentioned, Anand, there's a lot of noise around AI, what can be done. And everybody, I think, to me, all GPTs of the world have become personal assistants. Anything that you want to do will quickly go and check, for example, why is this and what you need to do. But coming back to from a customer perspective, I think one of the emerging technology that we believe would potentially have a lot of interest is the generative AI. I think too early, people, I think, need to make specific use cases. But I think if you want to make shopping of a customer seamless, if you want to give them a shopping assistant that they potentially get in a brick and mortar store, I think generative AI is something that has a very large role to play, specifically in e-commerce. We can tell you exactly what you need, ensure they understand your requirement from a product, price, category point of view, and deliver you exactly what you need. Rather than you scrolling through thousands of pages and finding what you need to sell, I think if you get an assistant which helps you cut the time, give you the right product, and enables your shopping experience better, I think that use case is, we are already testing in few places. I think I genuinely believe that has got a much larger impact.
Optimizing the customer journey on the website, making it easier is one important aspect. Understood. So Sefik, do you want to add something on that?
I think with the pace of development that's ongoing in the technological world today, it's a little bit like riding a bicycle. You kind of need to keep on pedaling, and otherwise you're going to fall behind. Now, the key is of course, step one, understanding what's going on around in terms of technological developments. Second is that how you would be able to, or what you would be able to leverage for your own business. And third is how do you implement that? So they need to kind of happen in sequence. And from a technological developments perspective, I see it in two folds. Number one is that there are obviously things that you can leverage to improve the efficiency within your organization. And we do that. We use agentic AI, we experiment with different things, we try to collect better data so we can make better decisions. So that's number one. And then the other part is that how would you be able to improve the customer experience? They're inherently tied to each other, but they're also different. I do believe that sooner or later, the way that customers interact with our platform is going to change. Now it is through a screen, and maybe a part of it is going to remain on the screen, but it's going to be more integrated because that's where the world is going towards, and you can already see some indication of that. The question is that trying to understand what would it look like and how would you be able to develop some sort of a framework so that instead of following what others are doing, you remain on the forefront of it so that you can understand what works and what doesn't. I think not before anything else, I think it's a super exciting time to be able to ask those kind of questions, and that's what we're trying to do at Mom's World as much as we can.
It is indeed. So that brings me to the end of this discussion. Thanks a lot, Karan, Sefik, for your insights. So the reboot we've talked about is not about tearing everything down. It's a thoughtful return to building businesses that are designed to last. Yeah, so please join me in one final huge round of applause for Karan and Sefik. Thank you and enjoy the event.